Smith. Shanté Smith.
Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video we are going to be talking about Miss Shanté Smith from one of my favorite movies, which is Two Can Play That Game. So let's get into it.
Hey, Shanté, go get it, go get it, get it, girl.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but Two Can Play That Game is one of my favorite rom-com movies and one of the very few black rom-com movies that isn't about struggle love and overtly toxic. It's funny, lighthearted, and has lessons and mistakes we can learn from. The cast was golden and showed different stories of black women and honey, the things a woman should not be tolerating or doing, like playing Build-A-Man. The soundtrack is classic and the wardrobe was on point, but let's get into this deep dive. Shanté is a beautiful, classy, feminine, educated, high-earning, self-respecting woman who knows her worth and is dating Keith, an equally successful, handsome lawyer. I know everyone loves Morris Chestnut and thinks he is so fine, but he looks so much like my uncle that I cannot look at him in that way. But he is handsome. What I love so much about this movie is that both Keith and Shanté are both successful and it isn't a competition. They're equally yoked. Unlike today where you hear a lot of people saying, or a lot of men complaining that women can't, or saying women can't work and the man can't work, or both can't be successful, or the egos clash, which for the most part I do agree. But that's something that I liked about this movie, was that they were both successful and it wasn't a point of contention with them being so successful. So Shanté has a pretty healthy relationship with Keith. However, that all changes when Keith cancels on his dinner date with Shanté, telling her that he will be working late. However, she catches him out dancing at one of her favorite spots at that, child. Flag on the play.
What the hell is going on between the sheets in my home?
So the issue that I had with Keith wasn't going out for drinks or whatever after work, because co-workers go out for drinks, you dance. The problem was you canceled your date with your girlfriend and took another woman out for dinner. Who does that?
You're not smart. You're not smart.
Not only that, but even though he isn't guilty of doing anything malicious, it looks shady as hell. And then she's embarrassed in front of her friends. So after that, Shanté starts her 10-day program to get Keith back in line. And although I agree with some of the things she says, a lot of it is also toxic. Shanté was definitely in the right to feel how she felt about Keith, not only lying to her, but embarrassing her, as I said before, and breaking her trust. So she wanted him to feel the way she felt, thereby teaching him a lesson that many men have to learn, which is a woman walking away from a man who will disrespect her or not value her, and when she leaves, he realizes what he had.
What the hell is test the waters?
Keith, calm down, bro.
I am calm, all right, bro?
I mean, you getting all swole up in the chest, man. Just sit down, relax.
She knew for the most part how men operate and when to pull back and put up boundaries. Shanté's rules made sense for the most part when it comes to having boundaries and letting a man know how to treat you, or anyone for that matter. I feel like Shanté learned from previous mistakes, from her prior relationships, or from the people around her, because you don't always have to be the one going through turbulent relationships in order to learn the mistakes of others and what you don't want for yourself. Shanté made it her business to be valued in her relationship. And something that I loved about her, which is what I always tell you guys, is how she kept her friends out of her relationship or the issues that may have arisen.
Never let your girlfriends know the whole situation, because all they'll do is give you bad advice and that'll ruin your confidence. And confidence is key.
And why? Because outside noise can sometimes cloud your judgment. Not intentionally, but sometimes people project their personal experiences onto you in your relationship, and it could be a trigger for them, so they plant seeds in your mind about your relationship. So I like that Shanté drew those boundaries with her friends, where she would tell them just a little bit, but not everything, nor did she involve them in her drama, which is something that a lot of people either learn later on or just, I feel like your relationship is between you and whomever you're dating. I don't feel like small little issues or anytime you get into a disagreement or argument with your man or girlfriend that other people need to be let into your relationship and know what's going on. People will start to form opinions. So I definitely believe that keeping people out of your relationship is key to having a good, healthy relationship, because sometimes people's opinions just cloud your judgment. I also don't understand why people want to involve other people in their relationship when it comes to what goes on in a small argument. Like, why is that anyone's business? It's no one's business what you guys get into. Shanté knew Keith was a good man. Did he play into childish, petty games along with her and make a mistake? Yes, but he loved her and didn't want to lose her. Now, where the both of them messed up was communication, which always seems to be a problem in a lot of relationships. We expect people to be mind readers and become passive aggressive and assume the person we're dating will just figure it out. But that's not logical, and it's also not healthy. Instead of Shanté telling him how she felt when she met up with him to discuss what took place, she pretended as though it didn't bother her, and she was a bit stubborn.
I understand.
Cool. All right. Good.
You know what? I think we need some time apart. You know, see what else is out there. Test the waters.
Now, I can be stubborn too, like most Taurus are, but after I've had a while to cool down, I like to have conversations, because when things build up, they only get worse. Now, I do think Keith needed to figure out why, if he's in a committed relationship, would he lie about something that he isn't guilty about. As his friend Tony states, and I agree with him,
Skin so smooth, it looked like buttermilk. You took that to a secluded restaurant and danced with that. And then when you got caught by Shanté, you acted guilty. Why? Because you wanted to hit it.
And Anthony Anderson is so hilarious in this movie, but he also got on my nerves too, because why are you so invested into your friend's relationship? Anyways, if you weren't doing anything wrong, why not pull her to the side right there and explain to her in front of your coworker what took place? And of course, then we wouldn't have a movie. But these situations occur in real life where lack of communication and misunderstandings cause problems in your relationship. In the beginning, Shanté had Keith exactly where she wanted him, and she had the right to her feelings. She wasn't going to make it easy for him or think he could get away with what he did. She let him know without arguing, fussing, or fighting that she wouldn't stand for disrespect and that she had no problem walking away. She stood firm on her beliefs on how she should be treated. I did feel sorry for Keith up until he showed up at that party with Connie, knowing full well how it would make Shanté feel, and then acting as though he didn't even know who she was.
Nice seeing you again.
How are you?
Hi, Shanté.
Please tell Jim.
He knew what he was doing. Showed up with any woman, but instead you showed up with her to get a reaction. Now, if the tables were flipped and she showed up with one of his enemies, it would not have been pretty. And then being upset because she comes in later on with a guy, this is like being mad because someone else is mad. You're in her face, grinding up on another woman on purpose and wanting a reaction, but then when she comes in with a guy and sits down with her because Miss Shanté wasn't about to degrade herself at a work event, rightfully so, now you're upset? Ridiculous. Now, what made this relationship not necessarily toxic, even though I said it was toxic in the beginning, but because I think that word tends to be overused and used for the smallest disagreements between couples and friendships, and some people don't understand that, but the red flags was that Shanté didn't trust Keith. I think Keith, although in love with Shanté, didn't really have a mind of his own when it came to his relationship. When he wanted to make up with her, he had his friend in his ear who was living vicariously through Keith, because he secretly wanted what Keith had, and Keith was the magnet for women and attention. So if Keith is happy in a relationship, it causes immature, one-sided rivalry. The same way men will sit and tell women that their friend is quote-unquote jealous of their relationship and don't want to see them together. There are men out here who actually are this way with their male friends and for some reason have this weird obsession and competition with the women his friend dates and seems to want the man for himself, child. Things like that are a red flag because he will always run his mouth to his friend about your relationship who doesn't really care for the relationship. And we saw the opposite with Shanté. She didn't divulge her relationship with her friends. Shanté was the friend who would keep it real with you and would give it to you straight, but with love. She understood, although she wouldn't tolerate the behavior her friends did, that she could give them advice that would actually help them. The friend group wasn't toxic or mean-spirited. They were actually a good group of girlfriends who loved on one another and had each other's back. Now, where Shanté was out of line was dropping that condom out of her purse. Girl, why?
What the hell is this for?
It was so petty and a bit brazen. She wanted Keith back, but I feel like she was so far gone and proven a point that she forgot what she actually wanted. A lesson many can learn from. I think sometimes people, due to ego, want to prove a point so bad that they end up hurting the person they care about, or the person no longer wants anything to do with them because they've gone too far. Shanté was right in that you have to let people know you're not the one who will tolerate nonsense and shutting it down from the beginning, because it sets the tone for your relationship and you've established what is to be tolerated and what to expect out of your relationship. I agree with not acting a fool and embarrassing yourself when your man is caught out there doing something he has no business doing. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us, and a lot of times men expect that, and it even gives them an ego boost. But when you do the opposite, it can mess with their head because you're unpredictable and you don't react how they expect you to. And if there's one thing that will leave someone stirred up is when they don't know your next move because it makes them uncomfortable. I also don't like how she treated Connie. While she may have felt that Connie was a hoochie, I don't like how she confronted her as to why she was at a party with Keith, as if that was her close friend or she owed Shanté something. They were just cordial with one another. Yes, Connie may have been one to get something by any means necessary, but if you know and trust your man, why does she ruffle your feathers so much? Yes, Connie was overly handsy and it irritated me watching the movie over because, girl, why do you keep touching that man when he told you to stop multiple times? But Shanté didn't even see that because that was at a separate party, even though they were dancing a little bit too close, especially for this to be a work event at the function that Shanté's job threw. But Keith didn't want her. She was just eye candy who was used to make Shanté jealous, which means they had a few conversations about her because, girl, how would he know that she gets under your skin? It means that you felt a little insecure about her and had that conversation with him maybe once, maybe twice, or maybe a few times. Now, Vivica looked so good in this movie, honey. The body, the face, the wardrobe, the leopard print Christian Dior dress she wore to Keith's house. That dress looked incredible on her. The Versace dress she wore to the party, the dress she wore to break up with him, the two-piece magenta pink brunch suit, the yellow pastel work suit that she wears in the beginning of the movie when we're introduced to her. The wardrobe was phenomenal. But back to the movie. I think there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from this movie, as I stated, because there are some things that are good and there are some things we have to pull back and say, now, is that really necessary? And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Let me know below what are some movies or TV shows you guys would like me to do a deep dive on, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure your notification bells are turned on so that you always know when I upload, and I will catch you guys in the next video.